everyone, how are you doing? Welcome to another episode of McCall Media TV Live with myself, Angela McCall. And today, guys, I am going to be talking to you about graphics. Now, I have seen over the last week or so, a few questions coming up in different various groups and communities that I'm involved in, where people have had their fingers burnt. And this is a sort of a tried and tested, age-old issue that I have come across as a website designer and sort of guru with regards to all the creative technologies, lots of times, because most people don't understand what it is that they are actually buying when they commission a graphic designer to create them a graphic, a logo, or some artwork in that sense. And today I've got you back. I'm going to go through it. I'm going to explain a few things and understand what's involved so that you guys don't have the same problems that we'll be discussing in just a moment. Okay, so we are talking graphics today, and the best way to explain how the graphics are built so that you understand what it is that you are purchasing is to dive behind the scenes and explain that process. So I'm about to share my screen with you if all goes well. There we go. I love it when the plan comes together. Okay, let's just get rid of that little notification. Okay, so here we are inside Photoshop. Now, the first thing I'm going to say is let's talk about the different tools of the trade. We've got Photoshop, we've got Illustrator, InDesign, all sorts, okay? And they are all slightly different and they all do different jobs, tasks with regards to creating graphics, branding, brochures, and so forth. Now, I'm in Photoshop for the demonstration of this video today, purely because I think it's easier for me to work around and show you, and also because this is the platform that I actually created my thumbnail images in. This is the thumbnail image that you see right now for this broadcast. So we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on screen here so that you can understand what's involved with a graphic. And I think the easiest way to do that is if we kind of dissect what we're physically seeing. So over on the right hand side, okay, I've got literally lots of different layers, and I've put some of these layers into groups. So think back in your old Blue Peter days when you used to get all your magazines and you used to cut people out and things like that. You'd end up with all of these individual different types of cuttings and snippets and images and pictures of cars and Ferraris and boats and houses and all those kind of things. And that is essentially what we are doing and how we are working in a digital environment. So if we quickly look at the background here, let me turn everything else off. As I turn things off, you can see that actually what we're working with is a checkered background. That means that the background at the moment is invisible. Okay, so if I wanted to create an image that was transparent, it would go on a, let me just turn them off. You can't quite see that too well. Let's take it up to about 90. There you go. So as you can see, the checkered is coming through. This is because the image isn't 100% solid, but what you can see here is now where it would fit on the page. Let me just undo my graphics. There we go. So what I'm trying to say here is as you build up an image, you're creating layers. Okay, so now what I've done is I've just turned on the logos. So what we've got down in the corner here is, where are we? This is my little logo group here. So I've got a white image, a circle that goes behind my logo. There's my little YouTube banner. I can turn on different aspects. That happens to be the sort of dark grey semicircle in the corner that we've got that hides other things. Then we've got my cutouts, and then we've got things like the title. And as you can see me bringing everything in one at a time, okay, you get the idea and you get the understanding now that these are all individual different components. Now, what happens is when we are finished creating our graphic, we export this and save it. Now, that export process is what makes that, it's basically like the glue that adds everything together. Okay, and the first thing that you can understand is that you need to we need to work out whether we're saving it for JPEG, if it's going to be for print, if it's going to be for the internet where we're using PNG and that kind of thing. So basically that exporting process is a bit like taking a camera right now and taking a photo of what we are seeing, because everything then becomes one solid image, and that's what you guys are purchasing. So when you're asking graphic designers to create you a logo, okay, what they will do is they will layer up various different parts of your logo to make one visual image that when you are ready and you're happy with it, they will export it and provide it with you as a JPEG or a transparent PNG, so you can use it as a watermark and all those different things. Now, what you don't realize is that what you should be asking for is, before you commission that graphic designer, is what is it, or how, or what tools do they use to build your artwork in. Now, my logo, this letter M with the yellow bubble, all of them, all my kind of logos, as it were, are all designed in Illustrator, because really that's the program to be designing these kind of graphics. It's not for photo editing, which is what Photoshop is for. It's for designing like icons and actual graphics and imageries and things like that. Okay, so I basically, in fact, let me just slide it in just to show you. This is my library for Photoshop. And as you can see, I've got lots of different images and assets here. And basically, I will drop in images and assets here that I can then pick up, because a part of the Adobe suite allows me to then share these images in the library for Illustrator. And so I can create the image once, so I can do the photo manipulation in Photoshop and then the graphic design in Illustrator and combine everything together. But the point is, what I'm trying to say is, when you as a small business owner are going out into the big wide world to purchase from a graphic designer, I'm just going to bring this screen back over, a logo, you need to ask them what are they using to create that logo in. Is it Illustrator? Is it Photoshop, etc., etc.? Then you want to know if you can actually receive the editable, fully layered file like I've just shown you, essentially the file that I have literally just shown you, because you can see how all of the different individual components move about. If you don't get that, okay, even if you can't use that file yourself, it means that you have the artwork, and you can always give that artwork to another designer in the future if the other one doesn't continue to work or operate anymore, or you fall out. You have control. And a lot of people don't realize that. So what they end up doing is they end up purchasing a graphic that's fixed, that can't be edited, can't be changed or improved upon. And literally it's a case of either going back to the designer who designed it, which if you're falling out with is a bit of a pain in the arse and there's pride in place, or you go to a different graphic designer and say, can you rebuild it again for me from scratch? And that's not the new graphic designer's fault. It's yours, because you didn't get the artwork at the time of ordering your images. Now, in tomorrow's video, one of the things that I am going to talk about is actually how these images then work in different sizes with regards to WordPress. I'm answering a user's question to me. But what I wanted to do is bring this back into today, because the logos that you have, you've also got to think about their uses. Now, you have got different file types for different environments. If you are asking a graphic designer to design you a logo or an image that is going to go into a print brochure, they will do different things with that image file, the actual file that you are given, such as the quality of that image, because they know that the dots per inch are going to have to be a higher ratio than if it's going onto a computer screen like on the internet. So how you want to use your image also heavily influences how the designer then creates your artwork for you. And a good graphic designer who's got all their morals in place, when you ask them for a logo, what they would or should do is provide you with an asset bank, as it were, a series of versions of your logo. So you should have large, medium, small, different sizes, but you should also have them as JPEG images. You should also have them as PNG files and all sorts, so that you've got different versions of those images in different file formats, so that you can use them in different scenarios. And you might not necessarily understand that exact use, but when you go to order some artwork for a advert in a magazine, for example, and you're talking to the magazine owners, and they'll say, like, send us over your logo, and you'll be like, well, I don't know which version of my logo. They will be able to say, right, we want a JPEG at 300 dots per inch, and it needs to be X amount size. And you can go and look at your assets and go, okay, well, that one there ticks those boxes, and you can send it on to them. But that's only if you've known at the beginning what it is that you need to purchase from your graphic designer. And where a lot of people get stuck is that they don't know this, and what will happen is that the graphic designer will send them back a nice logo, and it might do the job that they've actually wanted to use it for, but they can't use it for anything else. And I'm going to give you a quick example. Think of icing on a cake. If you had a small amount of icing like that you rolled out and you was making on a cupcake, it would be fine. There was plenty there. It's nice thickness. It wouldn't be half stretched out and torn and whatnot. But if you try to make that same a little tiny bit of icing rolled out to fit a humongous cake, then it's going to be stretched, it's going to be really thin, it's going to be really low quality. And that's essentially what happens with your images. If you purchase an image and you want it for a credit card size, don't expect to be able to stretch that image large for the size of a wall banner or something like that, because there's just not enough data in the image and the file itself. And your graphic designer will know that, and they know that you're going to get caught out. And therefore, when you decide that you want to do a big old billboard banner or a thing on the side of your vehicle or whatever it is, you're going to get this little tiny little image, send it to someone, they're going, I'm not going to be able to use that. And so you'll end up going back to the graphic designer, who then commissions more work for you. And all they do is open up the file and resave it at a different setting for you, and it's like a 5-second task, and they'll send you a bill for a couple of hours work. And it's unfair, but that is what happens because you haven't given yourself the ability to know what it is that you're purchasing, and they are taking advantage of you. And I'm not saying that all graphic designers do that. There are some genuinely honest people out there, but generally that's the way life goes, and that's why I've kind of made this video today. So I hope that kind of makes a little bit more sense to you. In tomorrow's video, what I'm actually going to be talking about is how these images and graphics actually work, again, differently inside things like WordPress, because what you see isn't always what you're going to get or you are working with. And so there's another like twist to the story, as it were, when you're working with them in a digital environment. So that's it from me today. I hope that makes sense. And if you do have any questions, I am using the hashtag #AskMcCallMedia. Where has it gone? There we go, floating across the bottom of the screen, across all my social media networks. And I was live today on Facebook, Periscope and YouTube, and that's pretty much it. So please do support my channel, subscribe, stay notified, all those kind of things. And if you've got any questions, use that hashtag, and I'll see you on tomorrow's video.